Hey everybody, this video is going to help you review and refresh your memory on transformations. Remember, transformations consist of rotations, where you rotate the figure either clockwise or counterclockwise, reflections, which are like your mirror image, translations, where you can think that you are sliding your image, and lastly, dilations, and that's where you make your figure larger or smaller by multiplying by your scale factor. Remember, if your scale factor is greater than 1, your image gets bigger. If your scale factor is less than 1, your value gets smaller. So let's take a look at some of these together. The first one says rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. Remember, when you rotate counterclockwise, you flip your paper to the left. Remember, each quadrant is 90 degrees, because that would make the whole circle of 360. So for number 1, if I'm rotating at 90 degrees counterclockwise to the left, counterclockwise, I'm turning my paper once to the left. I would find out where my new points would be located, and then I would plot them. So if you do number 1 correctly, why don't you pause the video and then press play when you're ready to check your work. You would have something that looks like this with Z prime here, J prime, and L prime. Remember, you're rotating your paper once to the left because it's 90 degrees counterclockwise. For translations, 4 units right, 1 unit down. That's literally what you're doing for every single point. So I'm going to move it 4 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 unit down for every single value. So this is where F prime would be located. For G, move it 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right and 1 unit down, G prime, and Y prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 unit down. You would have something that looks like this. Number 3, you could try that on your own. For number 4, a reflection across your x-axis. What I like to do is highlight my line that I'm reflecting across, which in this case is my x-axis. And then remember, I want to go equidistant. So for C, if I'm moving 1 unit up, I do the opposite and move 1 unit down. So right here would be C prime. For M, I'm down 2 units, so I have to go the reverse, up 2 units. For J, I'm up 1 unit, so I have to go down 1 unit. And for K, I'm down 1, 2, 3, 4 units, so I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And you would have something that would look like this, and it's kind of hard to draw on here, so if you have questions, please ask your teacher. Oops. So for the next set of problems, they want you to describe the rule, whether it be translation, reflection, rotation, or dilation. So for number 5, here is C and here is C prime. So I start at my non-prime image. So to get from C to C prime, all I'm literally doing is moving once to the right. So this is definitely a translation. And if I wanted you to actually write the rule out, I would have x plus 1 since I'm moving once to the right. I'm not moving up or down at all, so I just leave y the same. Number 6, this is definitely a mirror image. Here's where my mirror image would fall, and that is across the x at positive 3. So this is definitely a reflection at x equals 3. Number 7. If I am looking at this, this looks like a mirror image to me again as well. And this is where my line looks like it would fall, because everything is equidistant to that line, f to f prime and so forth. So this would be considered a reflection across your x-axis. Number 8, here's x and here's x prime. They're in 2 quadrants away from each other. So I could not have reflected this or translated it or dilated it because it's the same size. So this is a rotation. And since I rotated it 2 quadrants, so this would be 90 plus 90, which would be 180 degrees. Number 10 we did as a warm-up in class today, so we are not going to look at those right now, 9 or 10, but if we look at 13 and 14, we have to find the new coordinates. So what I do if I'm given a translation, I first write the rule. So x, if I'm moving 7 units to the right, I'm going to say x plus 7. 1 unit down would be y minus 1. So once you do that, you literally plug in your ordered pair and go from there. So for j prime, if I take my x value of -3 plus 7, -3 plus 7 is 4, and then my y value of 1 minus 1 would give me 0. So remember, once you write your rule, it's just about plugging into your formula. So for f, -2 is my x value plus 7 would give me 5, and my y value of 3 minus 1 would give me 2. N prime. If you take your x value for n, which is -2 plus 7, I get 5. And my y value of 0, 0 minus 1, would give you -1. So remember, when you're given a problem like this, always, always, always write your rule first, and then just plug and chug. Plug in your x values, plug in your y values, and make sure you remember it always goes x, comma, y in an ordered pair. Number 14, we are going to do the same thing. So if I wrote the rule 6 units right and 3 units down, would be 6 units right would be x plus 6, 3 units down would be y minus 3, and if I plug in my values, try this one on your own, and when you're ready to press play again. So here are your answers you should have: 3, 0, 5, 1, 4, -4. Like I said, if you still don't understand how to do this, please ask your teacher. So on this page, which is not in that packet, you can just follow along or get a sheet of scratch paper. I want us to do a dilation. And for this time, on this page, I want the scale factor to be 2. So the scale factor would be 2. So remember, all you literally do is multiply every single x and y value by 2. So 2 times x and 2 times y. So the first thing I would do is find my ordered pairs of every value. So A's ordered pair originally would be -1, 2, 3, -1. B's ordered pair is 0, 3, and C's ordered pair is 1, -1. All I have to do to dilate this is multiply every single x and y value by 2. So my new values, A prime would be -6, -2. Remember, all I'm doing is multiplying my x's and my y values by 2. And lastly, for C, I would have 2, -2. Once I put my original order pairs down, and I multiplied every x and y value by 2, the only thing I have to do next is to plot it. So -6, -2 would be my A prime, which would be right here. Make sure you label it A prime. 0, 6 would be B prime, and C prime is 2, -2. and you would have something that looks like this. As you can see, my figure got larger because I was dilating it by a scale factor greater than 1. Remember, vice versa. If you dilate it by a scale factor that is less than 1, like a fraction that's in between 0 and 1, your image would get smaller. So I hope this helped you a little bit with reflections, dilations, translations, and rotations. If you have more questions, please ask your teacher. If not, you can get to do your homework.